In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean your engine using minimal water and product, yet still getting you great results. Don't forget to check out the clip at the end of the video for more information on the channel. But in case you don't get a chance to, let me know your feelings. Share it on the video. That means liking, disliking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know what you think. And that also helps the channel grow too. Okay, so what's the point of this video? Well, not everyone has access to water or an open space or anything to clean their engine, but they want to maintain it. So how do you go about it? You may live in an area where water is scarce, or bylaws prevent you from using water, a lot of water to clean your engine. Maybe you live in an apartment building, right? And you just don't have access to water like that. So what do? Well, there is ways to get your engine clean without using water, or just using, I'll actually have a small spray bottle, and that's really all you need. Before I get started though, I do want to talk a few things before we get into the prep and all that sort of stuff. First thing, make sure you're doing this with the engine cool. It could be even a little warm, not hot at all. Don't do it just after you've driven and parked the car or anything like that. Let it cool off first. This is very, very important. Having a hot engine, hot metal parts, and exposure to a cold water, even warm water right away, can put stress on those parts. And that's one of the things that happens where you see someone who has done an engine cleaning, their engine gets damaged. Guaranteed one of the number one causes for it is doing it without the engine being too cool. If you need to, open the hood, let the car cool off, give it a half hour. It should be cool to the touch. You should be able to put your hand on any of the components aside from the exhaust. And again, be cautious if you're going to do that. Don't burn yourself. But you should be able to touch anything on there, and it should be cool to touch. Even the exhaust should be cool to the touch. I just don't want to encourage you to do it and start touching it and then you burn yourself. That takes one of the longest times to cool. But everything should be cool. You should be able to touch it, no problem. Next up, make sure you use the right products for your car. This is incredibly important. Don't just use any, household dishwashing soap or anything on your engine. Hell no. Make sure you get proper engine degreasers. Make sure you get proper cleaners. Use the proper brushes. Do the job the right way for sure. Don't skimp out on it. It's worth mentioning too, you want to make sure you are watching out for the environment. I mean, you are washing this off. I'll be honest with you, whatever is on the engine, most of the dirt and dust and everything like that, most of all that is stuff that's in the environment anyways. Let's be real. However, if you have any engine leaks, coolant leaks, anything like that, that stuff is going to leak out. It's going to run off into the environment, into the drainage and things like that. So you want to make sure you're being cautious of that sort of thing. Watch the environment, check your bylaws if you need to. I've also been asked, how often should you do an engine cleaning? Once a year. That's all you need. I do twice a year. Twice a year is, I think, ideal. Once in the spring, once in the fall. However, I mean, if you really don't want to do that much, once a year is really all you need. And again, it varies by various factors. Where you're driving, if you're out in the desert in Nevada or something like that, you may want to do it more than, living out in Canada. So, know your environment, know whatever. Once a year should be good. Twice a year is what I do. Now, also, I recommend that if you're going to do this, it's a good idea to make sure to wash your car as well. When you do especially if you're doing a big clean out on it, you're spraying water everywhere, dust and everything's kind of splashing out a bit. And then if you just close that off, all that stuff is run off onto your fenders, may have gone onto your windshield, down your front grille and your bumper. And if you leave that on there, especially with some of the solutions and stuff, and the dirt and everything, that can then sit on your paint and stain it, and it'll look ugly and everything like that. So if you're doing this, I always recommend to make sure you've set enough time aside to get the engine done and at least give your car a good wash. You don't have to do fancy wash and wax or anything, but at least make sure you have enough time to give it a wash too. Again, know what you're cleaning up as well. For example, you may see your car, if you bought a used car or anything like that or anything, you may see some buildup like that on there. Depending on where your fenders are, or not, when your strut towers are, you may see it on there too. Be aware that may be rust proofing from when the car's been rust proofed. Either you've done it yourself or you've had somewhere else do it. Unless your intention is to remove that off, be very cautious of it and don't do it. You want to make sure that that you're keeping that stuff on there. That's there for a reason. If you've paid for it, washing that off is just wasting your money then. So if you've paid for it or anything like that, or it's been there by the dealer or anything, that's there to help protect your car. So you want to make sure to keep that on. You can wash it off, rinse it, but don't try and go nuts scrubbing it, be wary of those things. Now, if it's possible, you want to remove the engine cover or any other covers that may be there. Some cars are easy, like this Grand Prix. It's just a matter of opening this up, taking this off and putting this back on. It comes off really easy. It takes 3 seconds. Some cars are much harder, like the Infiniti here. We're taking off this box, there's a few screws. Taking this off is 2 screws in here, and then 2 back there. So, you know, something you don't have to take it off, is not completely necessary. It does help though, especially to get this stuff underneath. Next up, inspect your engine for anything that you think may need to be covered. So that includes covering your battery, alternator, any electrical components like here, fuse box, anything that's a major electrical exposed. Now, something like this, for example, you don't have to, right? But you don't want to also spray water directly on here either. So, but just covering any major components, making sure all lids for fluids or anything like that are closed and covered. Water can't get into the engine or into anything like brake fluid, power steering fluid, coolant, anything like that. You don't want water getting in there. Well, I guess coolant's not so bad, but still, you don't want water getting in. Make sure everything's closed. Next, you also want to check and make sure that there's no leaks or anything like that. If you have a leak, something where oil or coolant or something's getting out, it's also possible for water or something to get in. Make sure you've done any repairs, there's no leaks or anything like that before proceeding. So, what do you need to get this job done? Everything here should suffice for you. We have interior cleaner and Scotchgard. This is the before and after for the liner for the hood. We have spray wash and a wax. This is for doing any body panels, including the hood. If your car has, if you have access to the strut towers, the sidewalls, even that too. Modern cars, a lot of those you don't have access to. Then some sort of engine degreaser and a shine, something like that will work as well. Spray bottle, I don't have one here, but you will see it in the video. A spray bottle where they could put just some water in. It doesn't need to be huge. Some microfiber towels. This is not necessary, but it's helpful. Microfiber, like it's a cleaner but with a handle. And a scrub brush if you have some tougher areas to work with. Before we get started, it is worth pointing out that if you have access to a power and vacuum and stuff like a power outlet and a vacuum, then it's good to give this a vacuum first before you start doing the cleaning. However, I'm going to work without the vacuum because it is to be assumed that you don't have access to one. And you know, if you have one, great, but if you don't have access to, at least this will cover in a way that, you know, can work for everyone. Now, since you're not going to have the water to spray to clean out things like within the cowl here, you want to take that out. Just you do it by hand. If it's really gunked up or anything like that, then of course you can just use a glove. I didn't mention anything about gloves. That is completely optional. It's up to you. But you know, it's either way. It's just about cleaning this out, getting it out of here, and everything like that. Watch out for the leaves; they break up. So be cautious when you take it out. I should have been more cautious when I was pulling them out, but I was kind of tearing that one up there. So just as you're pulling them out, make sure you're not breaking them up or anything. A lot of these leaves may be from fall, they may be brittle. You pull them out, they break apart, and they're gonna be even harder to deal with if you're cleaning up in this area here. All right, so now we're gonna get started on the headliner. So it's just a matter of using the interior spray, spraying it down, and I'm gonna use this handle here to kind of scrub out a bit. Again, if you're maintaining this properly and you're doing this, you know, once or twice a year, then cleaning it shouldn't be too bad. So first I'm going to do 1/2. Spray it down. I'm just going to take the brush and begin scrubbing it out. Now this is what I use, but if you have access to something that's better, you just need something soft, right? So if you have something that you can work, that you don't damage your headliner, anything like that, feel free to use that as well. Now, once complete, you just take a clean microfiber cloth and you buff dry. You want to see the difference? Alright, so now that liner is looking pretty damn good, if you ask me, it's time to actually get the rest of the hood cleaned up. And for that, we are going to use the spray wash, right? So get a clean microfiber cloth, spray some right onto the cloth itself, like so, and just wipe down. And as you're working here, if you happen to have one of those lifts, it wouldn't hurt to put a little on and wipe down the base. I wouldn't recommend wiping here because this does go in and out of the shaft, and you know, you don't want to put anything on that contaminant that can damage the seal inside, but you can clean up the actual pressurized lift if you want as well. Now at this time, it's good that if you have any exposed metal areas, so for example, let's say these strut towers here were exposed heavily, right now there's not enough space to really warrant it, but any of the areas, let's say some sidewalls, sometimes a lot of plastic molding, but if you look in there, if you could got in there, and if you can, go ahead, you can use the same spray wax and clean in there right now. Also, if you guys are wondering, just from the spray wash, sorry, not spray wax, you can see the difference it made right off the bat. We haven't even waxed it yet. But now we're going to move on to the engine. At this point, you'll do some spot checking. First, if you see any major greasy areas, so for example, if you saw, let's say down there, and you have some oil buildup, oil change was done, some spilled out, like, you know, you got some oil right there. Actually, let's get this leaf out of here. You know, anywhere you see any kind of greasy buildup, use a separate rag. Could be microfiber, just a junk rag, whatever it is. Try and clean up as much as that, sop up as much as the oil or gunk and everything first before you get into it. Otherwise, you're going to spread that oil and everything all over the place. Also, now is a good time to cover any components you don't want exposed. So, you know, any electrical components, like you see this ECU is right on top here. Any covers for the fluids, any electrical components that you're concerned about, anything like that should be covered. I won't be covering anything. I'm confident enough in what I do, and I'm confident that with you doing the job, you will too. But it does take some time. You got to get used to it, get used to the feel of it. So for now, if it's electrical, you're not sure about it, cover it up. Just that simple. If your alternator is exposed, you can get to it easy. Like this one's all the way down there, so you can throw a cloth right onto that. You just cover it up with even a plastic bag or something. Do it. Better safe than sorry. Okay, so remember I talked about a water bottle? Well, this is just water, no solutions or anything inside. Now's the time when you spray. And you're not looking to oversaturate. The idea is to spray down to help break down some of the dirt that's on here. You'll find that even a little bottle like this, you want to make sure you come with a good sized bottle, because if you're in an apartment area where you don't have ready access to water, you don't want to be going back up and down, up and down, up and down, having to get more water, right? So you want to make sure it's a big bottle, but as you can see here, getting good coverage on the engine, and I've just used a third or so of the bottle, a little more than a third. Now, of course, with this method, you have to understand you're not going to be able to get everything everywhere, right? Right? When you wash the engine wet, all that water drains down in and cleans up even the sidewalls and goes all the way in. You're not going to be able to get all that, right? But you're going to try and do your best you can, right? And the more it's up to you how thorough you want to be. The more thorough, the better. If you really want to spray down in there, get your hand in there and clean all that up, that's up to you, right? I mean, by all means. I'm spraying down in there now with the water, getting as much as I can. Because I have the bottle here, might as well go all out with it, right? And you can see again, it's a small bottle and it's getting everywhere inside. Right? The engine moist. We're going to take some engine degreaser and we're going to spray it onto our microfiber cloth and start wiping down areas, right? So like some of these components over here Now obviously the ECU, I'm just going to gently go over first. First I'm going to spray some on here. Get rid of some of that overspray. Let's take care of that first. ECU I'm just going to gently wipe over. Got to remember that if you're washing this regular methods using water, full on water and everything like that, then I think it's getting hit with all that water, and that's actually okay. Even if you have it covered up, that's okay too. So, you know, giving a little dab on there, doing a little bit of wiping up a little bit, doesn't hurt. Okay. Well, on the surface, you're really not going to see me go any deeper because, you know, you can't see that from this angle. But you get the idea. The further deeper you go, the more you clean up. You can take some time with it, be patient with it, and you get a good clean job out of it. All right, so now we're back up here. So now it's all about, we've cleaned everything up, we've cleaned into the engine bay as much as we can, best we can. We took our time with it. We've done what we could. Now it's just a matter of doing the final detailing to really get that engine to look as good as possible. So we're going to start off with putting some protector onto our liner, and that's using the Scotch Guard. See here. Go to the other side over here. Right. This is going to help make it water repellent, dirt repellent, and everything. That means not perfect, but it'll certainly help. Spray on some engine shine. And actually, I should tell you, there's a couple things. Now, for these liner over here, when I actually wash it with water and everything like that, I actually use interior detail, trim restore or interior detail or anything to clean that up. Because this is kind of a dry cleaning and everything like that, I'm just going to spray the engine shine directly on it. And then I'll use a microfiber cloth to kind of balance it out, dry it up a bit. You know, just make sure that it looks very uniform. So we're going to do that right now. The thing with this is it's spray on, leave it to kind of dry onto it, right? So, you know, just uniform spray right across. Again, your components should all still be covered at this point. Over here. Right. Now I'll just take that microfiber I was talking about. Just kind of buff it in, you know? If you leave it on, you actually could leave most of these engine detailer sprays. You could just leave on and it'll dry in, no problem. But sometimes it pools or it leaves like watermark stains or anything like that. By doing it like this, you'll give yourself a bit of a uniform look when it dries out. And you'll get rid of a lot of the excess, you know? You know, the deeper you go into it, the better. So it really is limited to your knowledge base. Like honestly, I'm showing you here and I'm taking care of a lot of the gunk that's on the engine. Some of it that falls down into the engine bay. If the more time and patience you have, the better. If you, like I said, want to go in there with this and really scrub into there, just avoid the components I mentioned, you know, drive belts, alternators, electrical components, and of course be careful, don't want to injure yourself on any metal components or anything like that, so be wary of all of that. But the more effort you can put into this, the better your engine will be, and the nicer it'll look, and the happier you'll feel about it too. Now the last step is to apply waxes. Now if you have any exposed parts that are there, like I told you, strut towers, sidewalls of the engine, anything like that, you can feel free to do that at this time. Also up here, we're going to do around the hood. You're almost always guaranteed to do around the hood. As you see some of these newer modern cars, that's not always the case. So you just go in, Apply your wax. And then buff out. Simple and easy. Let's go a little closer into this, shall we? Now you can see under the hood. Here's our engine. Not half bad at all. Now the YouTube stuff. I always love a great feedback, so make sure right off the bat to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Now, if you like something on the channel, definitely like it. Give it that thumbs up. If you disliked it, thumbs down for sure. But let me know why. That's what the comment section are for. And whatever it is, if you like something, then I know it's working. And if you dislike something, then I know something didn't. But let me know why, so I can continue to build a channel and make it better for me and for you. Aside from that, commenting is great too. So if there's something you can do better, something you can do different, any tips for other viewers, I'm all about that too. So make sure to put that in there. If you have a question about something that's maybe not even related directly to the video, leave that for me as well. Other than that, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next video.